Forecast in human resource planning. To understand the forecasting process, we need to understand basic human resource planning process. There are three major steps in human resource planning process. The first step is to forecast the employer's demand of human resource and supply of human resource. The second step is to identify the supply-demand gap. And the third step is to develop action plans to fill the projected gaps. It is very logical. First of all, you need to determine the supply of the workforce, and then you have to determine the demand of the workforce. And then you have to identify the gap between both supply and demand. And based on that gap, you have to develop an action plan that how you would fill that gap for hiring best qualified candidate for your organization. There are three forecasts in human resource planning. The first forecast is the forecasting human resource needs. Forecasting human resource needs is also called as human resource demand. You must need to know that how many people actually needed in that particular organization. Then you need to forecast the supply of inside candidates. And then you have to identify the supply of outside candidates. If you can see, there are three forecasts, but one forecast is related to the demand, but two forecasts related to the supply. Because as an organization, you have to prefer your inside candidates as well for the supply of the workforce. And in addition to the supply of inside candidate, you also have to go for supply of outside candidate. Forecasting human resource needs or demand of employees. Forecasting human resource demands start with estimating the demand for firm's products. If the demand for the products or services would be high in your organization, the demand for the workforce would likely to be high. Here I use a tentative language. It is not always necessary. Sometimes the demand of the product is high, but still you don't need much workforce because of your better efficiency and effectiveness. But most of the time, if there would be increase in the demand of products or services, you may need to hire more and more people, and the demand of the new employees would be increased in your organization. What is the process of forecasting human resource needs? To forecast human resource needs, you have to forecast sales revenue first, and then estimate the size of the staff required to support this sales volume. It showed that increase in the sales revenue would lead to the increase in the staff number. But there are a number of other strategic factors impacting forecasting human resource needs. It includes projected turnover. If there is an increase in employee turnover, then the demand for the new employee would be increased. You need to hire more. Therefore, you need to focus on turnover, that it should not be increased too much in your organization. Otherwise, you need to hire more and more people more frequently. Another reason can be decisions to upgrade or downgrade products. It is not always necessary to upgrade products. Sometimes you need to downgrade the products as well. If you are upgrading the products, then you may need to hire more and more people. But if you are downgrading the products, then you may need to eliminate some of the positions in your human resource plan. Another factor can be productivity changes that also influence the filling or elimination of the position in your organization. Last but not least is the financial resources. If you will have more financial resources in your organization and your product demand is also increasing, then you may need to hire more people. But if you have a poor financial resources, then you would not go for hiring more and more employees in your organization. Therefore, demand may decrease because of a decrease in the financial resources, but it would be increased most of the time if the financial resources would be increased in your organization.